last few minutes of trade. We got a fundamental voice on the show as well. Dilip Bhat turns in to speak about his sense of what's happening around. Dilip, really good having you. Thanks so much for joining in. The last 3 or 4 sessions, it's been a consistent strength displayed by the broader end of the spectrum while the Nifty has been consolidating. Do you think that's the order of the day for the next few sessions at least?
Well, Neeraj, I think having run up so much, I think it really requires a very strong support in terms of the FI inflows. So unless and until, the FI inflows, the net FI buying continues to be in the region of around 300 to 500 crores, it's difficult for the market to sustain at the current levels. So that is one assumption that one has to make while really taking a call on the markets. But having said that, I feel that even if there is a small correction, so be it, I think it will be still looked upon as an opportunity to buy by a lot of market participants, because a lot of left out feeling is certainly there, and it's a very strong feeling out over there. So maybe in the next couple of days or maybe even this month, we may see the markets remaining a little range bound, not going much. But I won't be surprised if the trajectory is still upwards, because I think come January and February, I think the euphoria of the budget will start picking up. I think 1 or 2 government actions probably even in this month can trigger off a whole set of expectations. So I'm broadly looking at markets which are going to trend upwards. Even if there's a small correction, I don't think one should be a little too worried about it, unless and until internationally there is a major disruption.
Okay, Dilip, I just want to mark these flashes that are just coming in. It seems like the government is ready to push for FDI in manufacturing of medical devices, and 100% FDI at that. Foreign companies can actually look at setting up greenfield and brownfield factories essentially, and this is an automatic route of FDI investment, so there can be a direct investment and set up for manufacturing medical devices in India. Can take over existing units in India as well, and I think that's the reason why I think Opto Circuits is doing what it's doing. That stock is up 6% because of the takeover thing as well that came up. No, so Dilip, a quick reaction really, because we're seeing pretty much day on day announcements with certain segments being pushed for foreign investment. Opto Circuits, as Neeraj just highlighted, that one has picked up about 9% as well in reaction to this news. How would you mark the space, and any opportunities, any names that come to your mind which could benefit aside of Opto Circuits with this clearance?
Well, I think there are very few limited companies, the listed companies in this particular space. Larsen & Toubro is a very big player in this particular segment, and of course Opto Circuit is definitely there. So actually, as what you very rightly said, that these are all the intentions of the government, maybe 100% is also allowed. So actually, whether some of these companies get taken over or not, it's a different question. But I think the very perception that it's possible itself will see that the stocks really are heading northwards. But within this space, I think except for L&T, which is a very serious player, I don't think there are too many stocks which I am aware of it.
Which is the problem. It's a small space. We don't know some of these companies as well, the kind of last 4 or 5 years that they've had as well. I mean, I don't for one remember what Opto Circuits or maybe some of the other medical devices companies would have done the last few sessions. So yeah, it's a small pocket to play with, but yeah, this one is doing okay. Let's move on and let's talk about some of the other pockets as well. Dilip, what's done really well are the defense companies, and we've seen the last few days what a BEL has done. Pipavav Dockyard, it was a stock that was lying in the dumps. 7 of its proposal being looked at, a couple of proposals being cleared. I believe they will manufacture torpedoes, and some of the other companies as well come into the fray, and suddenly the market is rewarding these companies. They are not budging from the circuit levels that they are at. What is your call on this space? And are there plays within the defense pocket that you still like, that you would still recommend at the current levels? You guys as a house would be recommending to your clients?
Well, apart from BEL, which on a thematic basis looks pretty good and interesting, I think the other two broad play on this will definitely be Larsen & Toubro and Bharat Forge. Now, Neeraj, the question always remains that, say for example, any of these companies may bag a particular order and they may execute. Not to forget, these are going to be the first of its kind of the orders. So who knows whether they will make money or they will not make money. But it doesn't matter, or it doesn't bother the market so much as the fact that this sector has been opened, and possibly gradually there will be a good flow of orders and good visibility and good traction. So I think that is what is really playing at the moment. But within that, I would still prefer to play a little safe and focus on BFL and Larsen & Toubro, because Larsen & Toubro comes across as a common theme for so many liberalization moves that the government is making, which is going to benefit Larsen. And of course, Bharat Forge also because of the auto and also because of the defense and also because of the capital goods segment. So I think these two would be a still better play in the medium to long term.
There's also the FDI push that came in for the construction sector. You're seeing a lot of the real estate names picking it up in this session. For DLF as well, it's a strong rebound. For some of the other smaller players too, it's been a day marked by good price and volume performance. Dilip, are you also taking a revised view on these names? Because real estate as a pocket has underperformed the broader market.
Well, I think real estate as well as the construction companies, both of them, I think needs a close watch. Of course, real estate, we are not expecting that the real estate prices to really show up any great real estate to show any great appreciation. But I think more important is what the RBI governor said, that aligning the duration of the loan for any project for infra or real estate in line with the completion of the project, you know. So it is a very significant step in the sense that the banks can lend for more than 5 years, and also for the companies, because it will ease their cash flow pressures and also make the things much more realistic. So in that sense, I think for me, this real estate and construction both will become very important in terms of medium to long-term investment. And also at the same time, by same corollary, I think the PSU banks also probably should do much better.
Talk about PSU banks in a bit. I just want to mark PI Industries. The stock has hit the highest level since end September, and a good pickup in volumes also. You can see how the volume bars have moved higher. That's a 9% move, 491. Ashwini, a quick call on this one?
Well, PI Industries is kind of breaking out of a consolidation. Now, I don't know whether it makes medical devices or not, but clearly something happened the moment that news was announced. And I think it can get up to previous highs closer to 500. Beyond that, you could even see 670. So it's kind of at the cusp of a big breakout, and possibly this could be a one people could carry home for tomorrow.
A BTST at this hour as well, and of course we'll get in probably more in due course of time. By the way, I'm just trying to look at the whole space. I think Dhanuka Agritech 2 is up close to 2.5%. In the morning, I remember seeing an Insecticides India also up close to 3% in the session. So I think some of these pesticide companies are doing rather well in the session today. A herbicide company, Camson Bio, not in the same league as these companies, very small, but I think Camson Bio too is in the green today. So there are these select 4 or 5 names which are doing rather okay for themselves. Dilip, I'm sure at some point or the other, you guys would have come out with reports on these pesticide companies, UPL, PI, Dhanuka, etc. And these stocks have done rather well, save for the quarter gone by wherein monsoon played a bit of a spoil sport. What's your sense on these companies? They have shown some growth, but is their growth looking promising for the next 4 or 5 years? The managements are saying that. And would you go ahead and buy these stocks?
We like the space, and I think quite a few companies within the space that we like, I think they are doing pretty well. For example, I think PI Industries certainly looks pretty good and interesting within this particular space. I think they're still clocking almost about 27-28% ROEs. They're still showing about 23 to 24% growth. Maybe over the next couple of years is what we are broadly expecting. So I think we like that. We like even UPL. I think that's a company which will steadily, which is still showing 18-20% bottom line growth, still showing an ROEs of around 18-19%, and still generating a free cash of around 500 crores, 350 to 500 crores. I think other company that looks pretty interesting is Sharda Cropchem. I think that's another company worth having a look. The capital intensity of the business will be low, but the turnover will be pretty good, so squeezing out a good amount of ROEs in that business. So on a select basis, some of these companies we like.
Okay, fair enough. I just want to mark Opto Circuits again, for the benefit of our viewers. I think, as my producer highlighted, it's gone up further, 12% in reaction to that news of FDI being pushed for in the medical devices division. 10.5%, close to 11% gain coming in for Opto Circuits. Let's shift focus now to ITC, the stock which has done well. It's been a recommendation at this point in the last 10 minutes left of trade. Dilip, before we let you go, just a quick word on cement and the way these stocks have run up in the cash as well as the futures and options side of the market. Again, a space which has been an underperformer linked to the construction segment. Demand has not picked up. There's some talk of valuation being favorable as well. Of course, some of these names are looking at international assets too, so, looking at a global presence. What's the view? What are your top ideas from the cement pack?
Well, I think the cement also continues, the sector cement continues to be in the same boat as other sectors where the valuations are significantly ahead of the ground realities. And as what you rightly said, the demand has not really picked up. So perhaps, if one were to see that over next couple of quarters, possibly this kind of equation may continue. But by and large, I think as we are all optimistic that if India is to really reclaim, say, 7.5–8% GDP growth, I think the Indian cement companies are best poised to capture that play. And I think I'm not so worried about the fact that there could be some correction in cement stocks. But I think the operating profit per ton gradually in next, say, 4 or 6 quarters should really pick up in a very big way. And I think that should really provide a good amount of tailwind further to the stock prices.
Great. Dilip Bhat, actually, if I can, I would request you to stay back for one more minute, Dilip. I would want to ask you about telecom as well, because the sector is in a slight bit of an issue today. But it's 3:20, so first we need to get in those trading ideas because we do that every day at this hour. So first get in those trading recommendations or BTSTs or closing strategies rather. Ashwini, to you first, your top closing strategy.
See, every week, Friday, our trailing stop tends to get updated. And next week around, chances are that the market will open below our trailing stop. And hence we have substantially taken profits off because the large stocks are showing weakness now. And what is carrying the Nifty forward is, metals and realty, etc. So that way we have again taken, some money management actions. Having said that, Coromandel fertilizer, that has started moving in the last few minutes. So that's a buy with a stop of 316, and you could get 340, 342 on Monday.
Nitesh, your ideas before we close our trade?
I think DVs after a long time is breaking below 1700. So I would suggest a sell on DVs with a stop at 1710 or just above it, and look at targets of around 1630 as a downside.
Okay, Sandeep also has his ideas before we wind up the session. Sandeep, what is it that you would recommend for our viewers?
Tanvir, as a BTST, I would go with a buy in Ambuja Cements at around 238.50, stop loss of 235, target of around 242, 243 or maybe even 245.
Okay, watch out for this. Cement is in a strong pocket. But Dilip, thanks so much for waiting by. Before we thank you, yesterday we did this story about how the telecom auction prices in the DOT has not agreed to the TRAI recommendation of capping a price, so the eventual prices could be much higher. And probably one reason why Idea is showing that chink in the armor today, it's down 4.5%. A lot of their circles come up for renewal, I believe. What's your call on that, and how would you play telecom going ahead?
Well, I think given the fact that most of the other sectors where the valuations, as what I repeat, are significantly ahead of the fundamentals, I think this is one sector where we have a lot of comfort that in spite of some of these developments, I think the telecom sector still probably is within the realistic valuation range at the moment. So there are bound to be some of these news which is bound to disappoint the investors, and possibly maybe some specific issues with Bharti and some specific issues with Idea and with Arcom, and I think with 4G around the corner. But still, I think as a part of an overall resilience to the portfolio which has to be given, I think telecom fits in very perfectly. So I think I would, in this overcharged atmosphere, I would still play telecom largely as a defensive bet in my overall portfolio. So I'm not so worried about the correction, but I think from the current levels, one can gradually acquire to give some amount of resilience.
Okay, Dilip, we'll let you go at that. Thanks so much for taking the time out and joining us and giving us that perspective. Really good having you.
Always a pleasure.
And look forward to having you more often. That's Dilip Bhat from Prabhudas Lilladher. By the way, Balrampur Chini is